myself for any of us that don't know each other, haven't had the pleasure to meet. So my name is Jessica Volio, and I'm actually a hairstylist by trade. I've been doing that for 10 years. And for the past 3 years, I have been integrating holistic health practices into my lifestyle. Um, I happened about this mainly because I was always wondering why I wasn't getting the same sort of symptoms leading up to my period as all of my friends and what seemed to be like the whole women race. So I would never get the cramps. I would never get any of the cravings. Like all of that would come like 2 or 3 weeks before I would actually get my period. And so when everyone would be wanting to indulge and enjoy their chocolate and all that good stuff right before their period and say, oh, like I'll just let that run. I'll enjoy it while I can, while it lasts, and I'll just kind of cozy up with chocolate and a movie and all that good stuff. That was never me because it was halfway through my cycle. So if I thought, oh, I'm going to do that, mine would have lasted for like 2 to 3 weeks leading up to that bleed. So I kept wondering, where am I going wrong in this whole thing? Like, what is going on? And I started researching and really just like Pinteresting and Googling and started catching on to some keywords. And then this really unfolded for me. So here we are 3 years later. I have a 15-month-old, and I really do feel like the whole balancing of my nutrition and all that good stuff has led me to understanding my fertility and understanding my cycle well enough to be able to conceive and be able to continue my pregnancy like in a healthy way. So that was a big thing for me, and I really enjoyed that. Also really enjoyed being able to integrate it back into my practices as like throughout my pregnancy, but also through breastfeeding and this whole time. So this past August, I actually signed up for a holistic nutrition course, and it's in orthomolecular therapy. So that's really just a fancy name for balancing your hormones on a molecular level. So I'm in first year right now, and I decided that I was just going to start sharing my experiences with everyone because the knowledge is starting to back it, and it just gets so exciting and really overwhelming. Like I'm just so excited to share with you guys. And a lot of my friends and family know I've been doing this for quite some time, and everyone that's been on my Instagram and seen my posts and hashtagging crazy things like ovulatory phase and menstrual phase, like everyone knows when I'm bleeding. So, there's no being shy there. But yeah, that's pretty much why I got into it, and I've been loving it. It's been one of the best things that I've done for myself in my life. So I'm excited to share with you guys. That all being said, I'm going to start sharing my screen and getting into the nitty-gritty of it.
Amazing.
Okay. So, cycle syncing. Syncing your cycle. What is cycle syncing? By tracking your menstrual cycle, you can tune into your hormonal fluctuations that take place over the month. You can learn to balance these ever-changing hormones by eating, drinking, planning, and living your life in order to promote optimal function with these changes in mind. The 4 phases that our cycle consists of is menstrual, follicular, ovulatory, and luteal. Before we explore the phases, you're going to be able to gain control and stop dreading that time of the month. Totally customize the cycle because it is your cycle in your body. Work at your own pace to ensure you are creating a lifestyle, not just a diet or a plan or something that's not just going to be an end date. Like this could be something that you integrate into every phase of your life. You understand what your body needs in order to do what you need it to do. You can optimize your daily, weekly, and monthly success by your schedule with your cycle in mind. And this really is and has been for the first time ever. I have learned to work with my body, not against it. Again, for any of you that know me, like from way young of an age because of skating and all the way throughout my life up until that 3-year mark, it really was diet after diet and nothing ever worked and it was completely unhealthy. And going through all of what I'm learning now, I've learned how much I had sabotaged my body and how it really comes back and down to the fact that we don't need to be at a certain weight or looking a certain way. We just need to be that optimal health. And once I realized that for myself and really started practicing that in absolutely every aspect of my life, it just became something that was totally in control of myself. And I felt like I could be more confident and radiant and be the person who I am inside without having to have any other worry, because I knew what I was doing for myself every single day was backing myself up. I was the first person to show up for myself and to be able to be the one that said, you know what, we've got this. Let's just be who we are, because it's been great this far. We're doing everything that we want to align that perspective of our life. So explaining some of these phases that we're going into, the first of our 4th phase is the menstrual phase. It is considered our interwinter. When I say that, I mean, in terms of seasonal winter, you're going to want to like cozy up in warm blankets. You just want to take that downtime. It's time to rest and restore our bodies. So you're going to want to take it easy. This is the time to be gentle and to turn inwards. Spend time with yourself to recharge, doing things for yourself, journaling, and knowing it's okay to say no to invitations at this time. A big thing, not only with nutrition and not only with movement, is this vibe in each phase of our cycle. If you are planning certain things when you feel like you don't want to, like you need to be able to say no to certain things because you're not able to be your full self. And when you're not being your full self, you're not doing yourself any service and you're doing a disservice to the others that you're around. So being able to be confident in taking that time off and to yourself, you'll be able to continue the rest of your month and the rest of your cycles completely energized because you've had that time. And realistically, as long as your hormones are in balance, we typically spend 1 to 5 days in this phase. So realistically, it's not that long to have to take time to yourself. So for your movement, you're going to want to focus on something that's a little bit more gentle and lightweight. Depending on where you are in your activity level, like that could mean a lot of different things. If you're heavy into your weights, you could be taking a little bit less weight on, but still doing more repetition. You could just be continuing your cardio, yoga, light stretching, that kind of thing, because we want to, again, just rest, restore our muscles, allow us to have that time off, that rest period that we definitely need, because that's a huge part of success in the long term. Supplements, you'll see that I have daily vitamins in there throughout our phases, but a big one here is magnesium as well. Just any of the things that we're lacking. Iron would be a really good one too, like any of your B vitamins at this point in time. We're bleeding, we're taking out nutrients from our body, we're definitely shedding our liner. So we want to be able to rebuild, and if we're feeling sluggish and a little bit less energy, we want to be able to back that with some supplements if we're not being able to get enough of it from our nutrients in our foods. Some of the oils, because I have been loving on doTERRA, thanks to Amy, we could use our clary sage, our clary calm blend, lavender, rose, or ylang ylang. It is good to avoid with cramping symptoms and promote a calm space for your relax and restore. Listening to your body, what oils you are gravitating towards in each fade, and add those in as well. So these are just simple examples. These are examples that can help, different benefits that they all hold for the menstrual phase, and throughout the rest of your phase, you'll see a couple of them reoccurring, but you can always add whatever you feel needs to pop in. So if you, like, I will have my Motivate blend in there and just kind of roll that on if I know that even in my menstrual phase, I need to get something done, just give myself a little bit of a kick, and that works for me. So again, just finding yourself and having that ground level so that you can really create your own customizable routine in absolutely every aspect. Moving on to our menstrual phase food focus. So if you guys want to screenshot at any time, go ahead. Or if you want to message me, I can give you the link to all this stuff that I have on my blog, or we can kind of chat. I also have these in highlights in their phase groups in my Instagram for all things Jessica Marie. So we can kind of chat about that later. But if you guys prefer to screenshot and have this as your own information as a quick go-to, then that would be great as well. So these are some foods. They aren't limited to this. Like, you don't have to eat the only things that you're allowed to eat for these next 5 days of your menses. is on this list, but it's definitely something to start realizing and being aware of and start adding these things in. All of these foods are going to help you level out your hormones naturally with the food and the nutrients that are in these foods. So right now, like our estrogen, all of our hormone levels are extremely low during our menses. So we have like a lot of estrogen, supportive foods and all that good stuff in here. So just adding, maybe reaching for an apple instead of an orange in this phase, or maybe taking some kidney beans and creating a little bit of a chili or something like that. Like just kind of add in things that you may not have and grab those and over something else that may be in another phase for you. So let's add some pictures in here is what I thought. This isn't for the menstrual phase, although you can also use some of the follicular foods in the menstrual phase because your follicular stimulating hormone is what's dealing with us from menstrual until ovulation. So this is something that you can kind of double up with. Peanut butter is one of my favorite things, and so is eggs and in my follicular phase. So we'll take a look at the foods in a second, but follicular phase is our inner spring. So very similar. We're kind of rolling through spring. We are just starting to open back up. It's new things. The vibe is plant and sexuals. So it's for new growth, new things coming out of that. We're going to write out our ideas, goals, and collaborate. This is a great time to problem solve and try new things. Schedule work meetings and all that good stuff. For our movement, you're going to want to focus on getting a little bit more increased with your weight training, your cardio. Like this is time to really amp it up because our levels are really starting to shoot up and our energy should start really being there if our hormones are all in balance. So energy starts to increase after menses. Now it is time to give it your all and make gains, whether you're building muscle or decreasing your time per kilometer. So again, whatever that is for you, we're not saying you have to weight train. We're not saying that you have to do a long run. We don't have to do anything like that. Moving your body for 20 minutes, however you choose a day, is fantastic. So moving into supplements, same thing with our daily vitamins. They're there, and our B vitamins are also there as well, especially if you are feeling drained and you're feeling that that hormone balance is underlying. This is the time you're going to want to kick those up to ensure that you have your energy, because you may be lacking a little bit of iron or folate. Our oils for this phase would be our ginger, ylang-ylang, grapefruit, lemon, lime, and orange. A tip is to see which oils you can use in each phase by looking at the foods list. Whether you choose to ingest them, apply them topically, or diffuse them, they are packed with maximum benefits. So for example, if I didn't have any of these citrus fruits, grapefruit, lemon, lime, or orange in my household at this time, and I wasn't thinking about buying them, or if you might not like them, sometimes what I'll do is just drop them in a veggie cap and get the benefits that way, and it's awesome. Diffusing them, citrus is one of my favorites, so that is very easy for me, and I will grab those very quickly. Moving on to our follicular phase foods, we're going to be taking a look again, so we've got our grapefruit, our lemon, our lime. These are just little examples for oils, like you can pull out ginger, good stuff like that. And again, when I was showing my deviled eggs, like that's where I'm getting those in. I'm just kind of focusing on those foods and ensuring that I'm getting all the nutrients that they're providing for me in this phase. We take a look at some of the different things over here. We're in nuts and seeds down here. So Brazil nuts, cashew, pumpkin seeds, and flax. Another good part of our cycle and a very easy way to get our fats in and a lot of jam-packed nutrients is nuts. I will definitely have that as a snack every single day. And I'm just shaking up which nuts in accordance to my phase that I'm in. Here's a little seed cycling for hormone balance. This is kind of like your game-changing one. If you have your flax seed and your pumpkin seed at the first phases of your cycle, our menstrual and our follicular that we just went through, and then you switch over right after ovulation to sunflower seeds and sesame seeds, the estrogen is really pumped by our pumpkin seeds and progesterone is really pumped by our sunflower seeds. For anyone who is looking to get pregnant, and having that progesterone level is a huge thing in conceiving, and it is a huge thing in ensuring that we have a healthy pregnancy and being able to avoid a miscarriage. So our progesterone levels want to stay nice and high, and that's where you'd be looking at more of your sunflower and sesame seeds. That being said, though, for anyone who does not want to become pregnant, that is not something that you want to stay away from. Having healthy balance of hormones all throughout your cycle is optimal health for us women, no matter where we are and no matter what we're hoping to achieve with our being pregnant or not being pregnant, where we are in our lifestyles at that point. Moving on to the ovulatory phase, it's our inner summer. So this is a high energy phase as well. Our vibe is to express and communicate. So our mental energy is high. It is time to socialize, network, schedule a date, connect with your community, have those difficult conversations, and vibe with your confidence and ability to communicate with clarity. So this is a great time to just live. Like, we're all loving on summer. We all can't wait for summer. That's kind of where we are in our ovulatory phase. This is exactly the phase that I had wrong with me when I was kind of explaining at the beginning as to what was going on. I was starting to feel cramps and all those symptoms that I was supposed to feel like 2 weeks from this point leading up to my menstrual phase. So I knew that things needed to kind of sink back in. And ever since then, I have been following this kind of regimen and been able to not have symptoms. And when I do have slight symptoms, as I don't always have a perfect day. And of course, like, other things can affect you, stress or weather or whatever, what we're going through all together right now. But ensuring that you have your support systems in place, whether that be your supplements or your oils, or knowing that you need to get back on track, just having your key things to rely back onto to be able to grab that and, you know, make sure that you're getting rid of a headache if that's one of the symptoms, or if you're feeling bloated, what you could be doing for your digestive system, all that good stuff. So just really being aware. Our movement for ovulatory phase would be a good spin or group class, some HIIT exercises, or again, some weight training. These hormones are at their peak, and with this optimal energy, it's time to push yourself to gain that strength and conditioning results that you've been craving. Our supplements here, just like a daily vitamin, and then our oils, turmeric, black pepper, geranium, and ylang-ylang. I use turmeric and black pepper for my on-the-go golden milk latte, 1 drop of each, and I've just maximized all the health benefits that each of them hold. Golden milk latte is my absolute favorite, and every time that I end up going back into my menstrual phase and I'm not allowed to have it anymore, I'm actually really disappointed, so I can't wait for ovulatory phase again. Here is our foods for our ovulatory phase. I'm not sure if you guys are screenshotting, so I'm just going to kind of stick with this for a second. But I've always thought this is such a funny phase with, as you can see in the other category, there's alcohol, chocolate, coffee, like all of the things that they tell you that you shouldn't be having. Well, definitely not alcohol when you're pregnant, but coffee, like, limits 1 a day. So, I mean, I just thought it was kind of funny that at this phase you could be conceiving a baby and they're telling you to be doing all these things. They're suggesting alcohol. This is one of definitely my favorite phases. I love all of the good foods that are in here: lamb, salmon, shrimp, tuna. Like, I love those phases. In one of these pictures, well, both, this is my ground lamb concoction, all of the good stuff. We saw red lentils on the list as well. Got some spinach in there, some dandelion and chard, like everything that I had just kind of shopped through on my phase list there, throwing it in, trying something new, seasoning it up, and just enjoying all the benefits. There's great ways to make this creative. A lot of the things that I'll do for my recipes would just be kind of add in a few different things that I think may work together or that are on my foods list. And then they'll come up with certain things on Pinterest, and you kind of just swap in and out of what you may like, what you may not. If it calls for ground turkey, throw in the lamb, that kind of thing. So that'd be a good key tip, I'd say. Something that's really motivated me and got me interested into cooking in the kitchen for sure as well. Our last phase is the luteal phase, and it is our inner autumn. So this is actually our longest phase. It's about 10 days. And so thank goodness, like I get my turmeric latte in here because it's an extra 10 days on top of the ovulatory phase. The vibe is to create and take action. The beginning of this phase will come with a surge of energy as all our hormones are still on the upside. However, the second half of the phase has our hormones on a decline. Turn within, it's time to nest, spend time at home, and check off the to-do list. We're all preparing for our inner winter again. Being aware of where we are in our cycle makes it so much easier to take that rest for our menses, because we know that we've done all of this to-do list and checked everything off, so that we're able to just sit back and relax within reason. I mean, I don't relax as much as I did before having a 1-year-old, but it all comes in stride. She goes to bed at 8 and I take full advantage. So our supplements, continue with our daily multivitamin, and then swapping in our B vitamins again. Kicking in those B vitamins are awesome at any point of our cycle, but super important as our body is getting ready to shed our uterine lining. Our oils again are turmeric and black pepper, ylang ylang, ginger, and peppermint. So anything that is warmly spiced is the vision for luteal. Try adding in the golden latte or dropping these oils in some dinner dishes. Peppermint will come in use for energy, top up as you near the end of your phase in prep for the menses. And our foods list for this phase, I generally am throwing a bunch of stuff in the crock pot or doing a good roasted veg between my radishes, my cauliflower. Sometimes I'll throw pumpkin in there if we have it. We haven't had that in a while. Parsnips, like some really good heavy starch produce. Like it's a great phase to have that warm comfort food. Having the beef and turkey in there as well makes it a little bit easier, I find, for a lot of people to be able to kind of have either the beef or then the follicular phase with chicken. That's always a really good start, because I think a lot of people are still having that main meat dish and then having your sides of vegetables. So it's nice to be able to refer to this, continue with that, and then just maybe swap in. If you're always having broccoli, then that's great. If you're always having, something in those phases, then that's fantastic. A couple of fun ones that I did here was some butternut squash pancakes. So that was so tasty. Haven't made those in a while either. So as I was going through and making this, I thought, well, that's going to be a must. And then some sweet potato fries with avocado aioli. So that was super tasty as well. Lots of fun. Yeah, lots of fun things that you can do with it, I find. All right, so here's just a couple questions that I thought that may come to mind. How to figure out where you are in your phase group and your period. So I have just always used the MyFlow app. It's a period tracking app, and I absolutely love it. It highlights different things, like our different phases in different colors. It's kind of predicting as to when I'm going to be seeing each thing. It's a very quick and easy thing once you get rolling with it, once it knows your cycle, to predict when you're going to be coming up to ovulation, when you're going to be coming up to each next phase, to be in prep for that. Because a lot of times what I'll do, especially now, because we're all we're doing is ordering our groceries online. So I'll make sure that every single week has what's lined up in my phase to what I'm ordering in my groceries, and making sure that I'm tossing that kind of stuff in. So just always being prepared for that next step is really nice, in my opinion. And I'll show you too here. There's also, if you don't have your period, if you're experiencing every other month in your period, having a little bit of an imbalance there, or if you have just come off, if you may be breastfeeding and not have received your period or anything like that, there's also these moon phases that you can go off of. The new moon would be your menstrual phase. First quarter would be your follicular phase, full moon would be your ovulatory phase, and your last quarter moon would be your luteal phase. So just some ideas there. Key tips and tricks for that, I would say full moon would be, or I guess new moon would be that new beginning, right? So like new beginning for a new moon phase and new beginning for our menstrual phase would be that. So key tip there, and full moon in your ovulation. Going back to our questions. So is it for me? Focusing on females here in all phases of life. Whether you are looking to come off the pill, planning to get pregnant, heading into pre-menopause or during, or if your younger woman is on the verge of entering into womanhood. Tracking your cycle and learning how to best sync with it will allow you hormone balance and control at your fingertips. It helps you prepare for life's current or future events, and also a key indicator into other hormone imbalances you may be experiencing. A huge question that I have gotten so many times is this a diet? And honestly, I have asked myself this questions, and I know that the answer for me is no. I've never felt restricted on this, even though, you know, I'll go and take a look at the phase and say, oh, like chocolate isn't on it, or raspberries isn't in this phase. I have to wait till ovulatory phase, or whatever it is. I don't feel restricted because I know I'm going to have it. I'm not saying goodbye to chocolate forever. I'm just thinking that it's going to do me best in that ovulatory phase. So short answer is yes and no, because it depends on your definition for diet. For argument's sake, let's look at it as terms of a weight loss diet. This lifestyle alone has the ability for you to incorporate some of or all of the tips. When it comes to the nutrition and exercise recommendations, assuming you are following a healthy and balanced intake of the foods listed and exert your calories and movement each day, you will not only see the hormonal benefits, but weight loss will occur if there is excess weight to be shed. That being said, if you are currently following a weight loss program, you will be able to continue to integrate the foods into each phase that you are currently, your current programs, protocols are calling you for. So just, if they're telling you to eat a certain thing, just swapping something out. If they're telling you to have a certain amount of calories a day, or if you are doing some bad diets like a ketogenic diet or something like that, turning to your proteins on that phase list will help you get into that hormone balance of it all as well. Some detox protocols that are always good to be mindful of is avoiding estrogen mimickers, or what they call xenoestrogens. They're commonly found in household cleaners, contaminated drinking water, BPA, canned foods and plastics, medications, and soy. I'm just going to take a drink here, guys. Sorry. Alcohol impairs the liver's ability to process estrogen efficiently. So that is a big one as to why it's only really being an option in your ovulatory phase, because our estrogen is so on a peak in certain areas of our cycle and really diminishing in certain other areas of our cycle. So we want to ensure that we're not always interfering with that estrogen being processed, because that is going to create a huge hormonal imbalance. Antibiotics can cause recirculation of estrogen in the body and disrupt your gut flora. Another big one would be using organic tampons, pads. I use a menstrual cup and I have been loving it. This is probably like my 4th or 5th month with it. And so I've been really loving on it. I never thought that I would be someone to really share when I am on my period, but here we are, and how I, you know, do my period. And again, here we are. So the menstrual cup is definitely something that I would recommend. I was nervous a little bit at first, but I mean, I gave birth, so everyone kept telling me that was the worst thing. So, you know, I went for it. And so just ensuring that you're reducing the toxins that we're exposed to that are going to create that hormone imbalance, anything that we don't really need to add into our cycle or anything like that. Just not only the foods, it's not ever just anything, it's kind of everything comes together. So you want to ensure that if you feel like it's wrong, if you feel like that you shouldn't be using, let's say tampons, for example, anymore that have the chemicals, and you want to switch to that organic tampon, don't worry about the price difference, because you're doing yourself the service and ensuring that you're creating that hormone balance, that health, like that understanding to yourself that you're doing the best for you. And just a couple disclaimers here. When I'm talking about the essential oils, I am referring to the doTERRA CPT oils that are food grade essential oils and are able to be ingested, topically applied, and diffused. If you do not use doTERRA, please ensure that your essential oils that you're using are food grade and CPTG. This is mega important because a lot of them are filled with filled with fillers, and you don't want to be ingesting some of those different chemicals. They also have certain synthetics fragrances in them. You don't want to be picking up something from Winners and ingesting a wild orange because you think that that's a good thing for you. So this is also not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I want to throw that out there. I am currently in my first year of orthomolecular study, which I was explaining to you guys at the beginning, and I have applied this knowledge to my experience I have had through my cycle syncing journey. Using the cycle syncing method, I'm not influencing you to stop other forms of birth control, but providing you with information on alternatives. So just all based on everything that I have loved and enjoyed through this whole experience of the last 3 years. Again, like I've been on so many different levels of, you know, I think I started this when Ulysses and I were together and just started kind of finding myself with that. And then we decided that we were going to have Saya. So going through, I did have a miscarriage, and then realizing, you know, I got to up my progesterone and was just so mindful of certain things. And I just felt like it really helped me through that phase of my life. And then again, just optimizing my health to get myself and my body and my mind prepared for pregnancy again, and hopefully carrying to full term, which we were lucky enough in doing, and having Zaya, and now having been through breastfeeding and our first year and extra months on top of that year. Like, it's been a really good roller coaster. And I think the biggest thing for me has been that confidence that has come out of it. I've really enjoyed knowing who I am and being completely confident in it, and being able to share with you guys, you know, that we can all be on this level, like women together, and, you know, girl strength, girl power type deal, you know? So yeah. You guys have any questions? Oh, did you freezing?
Well, thanks, Jess.
No problem.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions that they want to ask Jess?
Well, I just took my Mirena out a couple weeks ago now. So then my phases, I guess my period isn't regular, I guess. So should I just follow phases of the moon while I'm waiting for that to sync up again?
Yeah, I totally would.
Sorry, she just woke up.
I would for sure, Becky. Like, that's exactly what I've said to everyone who's been breastfeeding as well. And then you'll start to sync up. Like, even being women, have we all noticed this once in our lifetime, that if you're closer to different women, that you start to become on their cycle and you're syncing with their cycle? Like a group of, you know, if you have your roommates, like me and my roommate, we're always on the same cycle. I can't say the same thing for Ulysses. I mean, I think men have their own damn cycles, to be honest. So I'll check back with you all on that when I figure it out on the orthomolecular level. But yeah, I can't really say that for Zaya yet, obviously. But yeah, Beck, I think if you go off the moon phases, then you'll just be able to kind of flow right into where your body wants to be. And then just like practicing that and being aware. That's probably the key point, is just becoming aware with where you are in your cycle and feeling your best in those moments.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. That was so much. That was super informative. It's funny. I was happy Amy invited me to this because I'd recently started seeing a naturopath, and she specializes in like women and hormonal things and stuff like that.
Awesome.
And I had, for the longest time, never tracked my period in university and all that sort of thing. So anything that happened was always a surprise. And then when I started tracking, it makes so much more sense, right? The sort of moods that you're in and like all these different things. So I also use my flow. I think I've been using it for about a year. But I never really knew about in terms of the foods. Like, I knew there would be certain foods that would help, but with the not having these certain foods in the phase, how much does that help in terms of PMS, and I guess maybe like preparing you for the next phase, if you were to strictly follow, like, don't have this in this phase and don't have that in this phase? Because I've never considered doing something that I guess is not maybe strict, but like paying that close of attention.
For sure. So just off of my personal experience with my ovulation cramps and like all those different symptoms that I was getting, I definitely feel like food was a huge indicator as to, like, as soon as I started really regimenting my routine, it got easier. Like, it feels at first like there's a lot happening. So like add your apples instead of your oranges at first, like that kind of thing. Start doing like, not an elimination diet per se, but you'll know, like you'll know what to start feeling, and you'll know how you're feeling with certain foods that are coming in and out. And not to say that you can't have something else that's in the menstrual phase or leading up to it in your ovulatory phase, right? Like you want to be able to incorporate all this structure into your lifestyle, not completely, okay, that's it. Like I'm done with what I'm doing now, and I'm going to start this whole front thing from ground zero.
Right.
You want to start including all those things and start kind of taking certain things out that you feel. I think one of the biggest things is like for me, I'll notice right after now, just when you practice being more aware in your lifestyle and everything that you're doing, that you start to realize, oh my God, I just had, you know, a huge salad, or like for me, it was protein shakes for a really long time. And then all of a sudden my whole system was having a really tough time. I got really bloated. I couldn't digest it very well. And so I didn't want to take that out. I just needed to figure out how I was going to go about that. And it was only implementing it into the certain phases that it was supposed to be.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, Jessica asked if there's anything else you'd recommend for menstrual pain other than cycle syncing.
Give me the ball.
Can you say it again? Sorry.
What's that?
I didn't hear you. Could you just say that
Oh
again?
yeah, sorry. Yeah, she just asked, is there anything else you would recommend for menstrual pain other than cycle syncing?
I would say like your oils are a huge one. Like I've always really grabbed my oils, your clary calm, your clary sage, rubbing it on your abdomen. There's different things that we could. Do you have your book on hand, Amy?
Yeah.
Like I'm always referring to, yeah. I'm always referring to this like Essential Life book for all of my stuff. It's been a great addition. Like again, when I was also mentioning the motivational blend for when I feel like I need to have a little bit of a jolt kick in my energy, there's different things that you'll find. So some of these oils may work and some may not be, you know, the trick for you. But I would say that, and just ensuring that you're resting in that menstrual phase. Like I think that's a huge sign of our body saying, take a break, take this time to just regroup, rest and restore, and allow yourself to just take that time to heal. Take that time for your body to do the great thing that it's doing. Did you find it?
Yeah, I'm just going to look it up in the app too and maybe try and post it as a picture.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I should have had my book down here.
I noticed like because I'm learning a lot, like I'm learning a lot tonight, especially about like the food, because I use my oils quite a bit, and I noticed a big difference when it was, I don't know if it was like after I had LE, but when I started taking the LV supplements, like my gut health changed significantly. But now, like I'm at a point where I don't have any pain, like I don't get cramps or anything like that. And if I do, it's like very, very rare. I also switched over to the Deepika, and that has been like, yeah, a game changer, because I don't have any pain or any like discomfort from that. But I do notice that like when I do have my period, if I don't actually rest, like if I'm not doing the thing that I like am craving to do, it's so hard for me to recover. Like I spend like the next like couple weeks like dragging my feet so much more than when I do listen to my body, and like when I know that that's kind of what I should be doing.
For sure. Yeah. That's exactly where it's at, right? Because like the whole taking the food, like the nutrition and the movement with the exercise off the table, like North America especially, like we're all living here in this, and I'm not a feminist by any stretch or anything like that, but we're every study that I do is mainly done, and it's starting to get into more women, but mainly it's done on men, and just assuming that our biological differences aren't there, like we're not considering all those factors. And it's a huge factor. We're so different. Like we go through all these bleeds, like, and we're expected to do all of these things on all the time. So you have to be true to yourself and giving yourself that time. And you're going to ultimately like teach others how they're going to treat you, right? So like if you need to take that time, take the time, rest up, because then you get to be optimal in the rest of your cycle. If you can't, then you're only being, excuse my language, but half-assed through the rest of your cycle, which is in turn the rest of your life that you have a period. That's a long time for a lot of us, right? Like we have a period for a very long time. So like one of the big things that I'm excited for, and I know it's years down the road, some moms will tell me that it will come quicker than you expect, but for Zaya, when she starts to go into her cycles, like I'm so excited for her to start right at ground zero with this knowledge. She's going to be able to be optimal and learn how, so that when people come in and ask her of something, no, I can't do that this week, but I'm more than happy to do that next week for you. Just being so true to yourself and respecting your body so that everyone else respects it too. I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah, that is a huge thing. That's a whole lot of self-love and self-care right there. Like that. Yeah. I think that's what I wrote down actually, like when you were doing your presentation, is it's like it is a lot of information, but the biggest thing is that how mindful you are and how intentional you are about like foods that you are eating at like at certain times, and like even making a grocery list to like where you're going to be on your cycle, and how intentional you are being about putting foods in your body that are going to help you feel like amazing, like not just to get by, but like, you know, by eating those foods, you're going to feel your best. And I think that's amazing. It's something that I need to learn more about and start being more mindful too, of recognizing
I want the ball. You stole my ball.
And complement that. So yeah, I think that's amazing.
Can I ask about how you feel about like medication like ibuprofen and different things, and how that affects your body? Because for me, I have really bad cramps on my first day of my period, and I was working with my naturopath, and she said to try these ginger capsules, which work for like nausea for me for most of the time, but didn't help at all for my period. So unless I would take like 2 Advils, like the second I see blood, or else I'm going to be in a ton of pain. And I could deal with that if I'm not going to work, but if I have to work that day, it's like not negotiable. And I don't take medication other than that, like for headaches or anything like that, but it's just like to actually get through the day, I would actually need to take that Advil. So how does that affect your body with like the medication, like over-the-counter medication?
I still need to go a little bit further into the medication parts, but as far as like my research has been, I've never really been a huge fan of taking pills, more so because I can't swallow them very well, so it takes to get them down. But it never really sat right with me, because I just didn't feel like I was doing my body anything better than what it was. It's almost like a Band-Aid fix, right? So the ginger pills are great. Something that came to mind for me would be Copaiba. Are you familiar with doTERRA?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I actually love clary sage for cramps. I always rub it on my abdomen.
Yeah. So for a headache blend that I actually take, I put copaiba, peppermint, and lavender in it, and then I actually just put in a veggie cap, the pure oils right in the cap, and I feel awesome with that. Copaiba is a really great one for pain and inflammation.
Okay.
So would lavender be as well? And like the digestive one, like fennel, like stuff like that may give you a little bit less inflammation and cramping down there as well. And with the pain overall. So I'd say copaiba would probably be a huge bet. And Amy, you said deep blue, right? When we were chatting last time for like the pain.
Yes.
Form.
Yeah, I wrote that down too, like in the first phase for deep blue, the oil, like massage that onto your stomach or back. I used to get them more in my back.
Yeah.
Cramping. And yeah, I would massage deep blue in, or the rub, the oil or the rub both do amazing things. And for me, geranium, I'm like super drawn to geranium, and I find it very comforting and like soothing. And I don't like it any other time, like any other time of the month. I'm like repulsed by it because it's so strong. Like it's so amazing, like how our bodies adapt and change and like tell us what it needs like at that time. Because there's no other time during the month that I'm like, ooh, I need some geranium. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But during that 5 days, I cannot get enough of it.
Yeah. And that the deep blue capsules, like they're for a lot of muscular pain as well. So like you probably toss a deep blue and copaiba in there and take a try with that, I'd say.
Okay, cool.
Definitely. Because yeah, again, like it's really just a Band-Aid fix. So we don't want to deal with more things in the rest of your cycle that it's going to complicate.
Right.
But I can definitely get back to you more on that if you want.
Yeah, that would be great.
When I figure it out.
And the copaiba actually come in soft gels?
Yeah, I have them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
I just never really got into using them much because I don't know. I guess, I didn't really know what I was using it for, but
Yeah.
I,
So many oils.
that's what I've used in like where I would have used to use like an Advil or something. That's where I we'll take like 2 copaiba soft gels and it usually does the trick.
Cool.
Yeah.
I will try that.
Great. Is everyone wanting to dive into their phases now? Check outside and see what the moon's at, or take a look, try and figure out where your last menstrual period was.
Yeah.
I do though. It's surprising that we don't learn this stuff in school. I think like a lot of this, when I started learning about it a couple of years ago, was very new to me, and we didn't like in our house. We honestly didn't really talk about it very much. Like it wasn't like an open thing, and so where I do want it to be different. Like I think it's amazing that you are like say it's going to grow up with you being that role model of her and like her understanding that already, like approaching her health in such a holistic way and tuning into her needs. And so I think that's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing too.
I'm so excited to have shared with you guys. Thank you so much for being on for my first time. Like that was fun.
No problem.
Nerve-wracking. I think I like finally halfway through like felt my chest untightening. Like the whales are kicking in, starting to take a few deep breaths. It was good. So yeah, thank you all for being part of it. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I'll say thing too. So next week we're going to do a class for the healthy habits class. So that class is where Jess was speaking about the supplements. Like we're going to kind of do like a deep dive on specifically like the doTERRA supplements, the probiotic, doTERRA, really looking at like gut health and setting up healthy habits too. So if you're interested in that, like learning more about certain oils and more about the supplements that she's briefly touched on, I'll just post the what happened here? The link for that class in case you want to join us next week. And
Oh, Amy, you got really raw body.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
All like the supplements and some of the oils to really help with mental health as well. Is it better now?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's because
I think it's a network thing.
Am I good now?
Yeah, somewhat. It's saying your network bandwidth is low.
Oh, okay. Did anything else for Jess before we wrap up?
Good.
Good.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming on. Well, and thank you, Jess. Thank you for
No problem.
sharing.